Volume is an indie puzzle stealth experience by the person who created Thomas Was Alone, Mike Bithell. The game takes place in a VR setting similar to what you might have seen in Metal Gear Solid VR missions. If you never experienced that, then here's your chance to play something similar. The options are about what you would expect. Resolution and shadow toggling, volume options are all there, control options and key mapping are there. There's one thing that I found a bit confusing when in-game, and that is that there are no in-game settings available. This means in order to change anything, you have to exit to the main menu to change even the volume. That seems a bit ridiculous to me. Once you move forward, there are a few options. You can either create your own maps, play a core single-player experience, or play maps that have been created by other people. This opens up the game quite a bit for replayability, since people will likely create lots of new maps for you to play. I won't go too deep into this aspect. Instead, I'll focus on the single-player campaign. The graphics are highly stylized in order to create the VR setting. Most of the objects and environment are minimalistic and more impressions than reality. It's an interesting idea that allows some tampering with the environment in a way you wouldn't experience if the game took place in a realistic setting. There are lots of moving objects and lights. The fact that the game environment isn't realistic does help with the stealth quite a bit. There aren't really times where you won't know what's going on because of the visuals. That's pretty integral to the gameplay. The graphics that are present are pretty flashy. The minimalist design does mean that there aren't too many wow moments. There isn't anything here that you haven't seen before. The graphics do work well, and they are nice, but considering some of the nice animations, for example, the start of each level, it seems like a missed opportunity. The music is pretty good. I wouldn't call it anything special. It's well done, and there aren't any issues. Much like the graphics, they work, but there aren't any tracks which will leave you asking for more. The voice acting is well done as well, which is good because you spend a lot of time with two characters, and if they had bad voice acting, it would heavily detract from the game. There were a few special moments in the game, but unfortunately it took until the 39th level to get to one that I thought was amazing. I think it speaks for itself.
Just watch me. Yeah. I'm one in a million married men and women in your citizenship who are seriously sick of it. So we declare your leadership to be a little bit illegitimate. It's chilling, isn't it?
Gameplay is what this game focuses the most on. It tries to create an experience based off of stealth and puzzles. It plays like a stealth version of Pac-Man. The objective is to find and collect all of the gems without getting spotted and chased down by the enemies in the game, which are all VR robots. The game is quick to try and punish you once you're seen, but you can get away. Actually, there are many parts where it's faster to get seen to move through a level. You can mess with the AI in a way that makes some of the puzzles too easy. Gameplay is solid, but because of the AI, it can feel a bit clumsy, even silly at times. There was a point where I just ran around in circles until the AI lost me. There are actually many times when you can cheese the AI in order to get through. I even did it on accident. New mechanics and enemies are introduced throughout in a way that is fun and flows well. Most of the mechanics involve using stealth and making noise in a way that distracts the enemies. Level designs are pretty basic, though the complexity ramps up a bit. There are only so many ways you can use this sort of template and keep it interesting. That means that unless you really love stealth, this isn't a game that will keep you playing for hours and hours. It won't be on your mind, begging you to come back throughout your day. It's good to spend half an hour, maybe an hour at a time. I think it would be a great handheld game, a way to pass some time when you're on a bus, flight, or road trip. Story is fed to you by sections of text and voiceover while playing through levels. The gameplay is only very loosely tied to the story. It does give you something to listen to and pulls you forward if you want to hear more. That said, I don't think the story is tied in enough. It almost feels like you're listening to a podcast while you're playing the game. Regardless of whether that's on purpose, it doesn't make for as immersive or impactful a story. There are also random bits of text that you can read in levels which aren't that relevant to the story, but do give a bit of flavor. Unfortunately, many of those aren't that interesting. The ones that interested me the most were the shorter ones that interact directly with the player. There's your traditional protagonist, antagonist, and a companion. Whether he's a willing companion is debatable. You don't really hear that much from the antagonist. Most of the dialogue is between the main character and a robot named Alan. It's very much a Robin Hood story. I won't get into it too much for those of you who don't want spoilers, but I honestly didn't find it that engaging. The reason I came back and played more was definitely the gameplay, and not the characters. If what you want from a game is a great story that immerses you in the gameplay, you should probably look elsewhere. But I will give it some credit. Some of the dialogue and text is pretty damn good, and there were some funny parts.
Before you reset me and gave me access to the net, I was as certain as you are now, and all it took was a chat with, what, a paperclip or something? My reset button's tricky to get to.
I used a pen.
Ah, mightier than swords.
We're doing good work, Alan.
I think we are. Yes. We just need to be careful.
If what you want is stealth gameplay that iterates on some core mechanics and becomes increasingly complex, then this may be the game for you. I found it to be very enjoyable. It's definitely some of the best stealth I've played in a game. It seems like there was an opportunity to ground the mechanics in a good story. Unfortunately, I didn't feel like that happened. Luckily, the gameplay is fun enough that it carries the game pretty well. So, that's Volume. It's a good game and worth giving a try. You can pick it up on Steam for around $20, and if it goes on sale, I would recommend it for anyone that likes stealth games. I've been Melchiorus from Game Clouds. Have a good night, friends.
Just watch me. I'm one in a million married men and women in your citizenship who are seriously sick of it. So we declare your leadership to be a little bit illegitimate. It's chilling, isn't it? Your memory give them still.